Yo, what's up, guys? Why Not Be Reckless, aka Why Not Be Casting. I'm one of the HCS commentators, and we have another HCS Weekly Report where today we're going to be talking about the partner teams and them making roster moves. So we're going to specifically hone in on Quadrant, G2, United, and Complexity today, but in the future, we're going to be talking about some more teams because there are definitely some more moves coming for Season 2. Let's hop right into it with Quadrant and them running together. We got, well, half of the Quadrant roster, really. You have SLG and Chick, and joining them apparently is going to be Legend and Seeker. That's been the rumor going on for quite some time, and together we see them playing twos, and this looked a little bit innocent, like, oh, they're just playing twos, until you realize, well, hold on one second, they're playing twos King of the Hill, they're playing Oddball Streets, they're playing Recharge Oddball, so I don't think this is them, just playing 2v2s. I think this is them going in and talking about some strategies about how they're gonna go about some of these game types and maps going forward as a team. You have half of that Quadrant roster, and maybe joining them is going to be half of that Ascend roster. Legend, Sika, Chick, and SLG. This is a dangerous team. I believe SLG teamed with Legend and that Ascend before they became Ascend way back in the day. I believe SLG was their fourth for quite some time, and they were running it together. Obviously, Seek is an absolute animal. Chick was part of that, one of the greatest back-to-back overkills that we've seen in HCS history. So this team coming together can really be dangerous, and it's funny because, you know, Ascend were already dominating EU competition. They were already the #1 team in EU. So the fact that they're willing to break up and create a brand new squad tells me once again they're not just satisfied with being the best team in Europe. They're coming for that North American spot. They want to get a top 8 finish. They want to get a top 6 finish. They want to maybe break into that top 4, and maybe Quadrant can do it with this new roster. If we're going to talk about newly partnered teams, we might as well move over to Complexity, or 3-4 to that Complexity roster, Vetra, Cycle, and Monster, because we have a new face joining them, no longer Neuronical, and instead, I believe this is going to be Filthy G, who's been a veteran for quite some time. I know I've played him, and he's wiped the floor with me in game battles multiple times, and apparently might be wiping the floor with competition with Complexity if they choose to go with this roster going forward. It lends to find out exactly what happened to Neuronical. Neuronical is an absolute nasty player and a great IGL as well, so he brings so much to the table. I'm surprised that that Complexity would drop him, so I'm wondering if maybe he split ways himself. I honestly have no clue. I haven't even reached out to them, but either way, it looks like Complexity are testing the waters. It looks like they're at least trying to go somewhat in a different direction, and Filthy G may be that fourth, and might as well stay right here because look what they're going up against. You know, okay, Trayan, that's Oxygen Esports. Boom X, okay, that's Oxygen Esports. Nemesis, that's Oxygen. What the hell? Gilkey of G2, or formerly of G2, we've seen Gilkey teaming with Oxygen Esports multiple times, just filling in these random tournaments. But now we see them scrimming together. We saw them filling in before. Now we're seeing them scrimming together. Is it possible that Gilkey's no longer a part of G2 and maybe, just maybe, going with Oxygen Esports? I don't know. It could be just him filling in. Obviously, Collect was on this team going into Worlds, and he's going to go back to Native or go in a different direction. But I've heard rumors of him playing with McWin, but so far we haven't seen them scrimming together. Either way, maybe Gilkey's filling in, or maybe, just maybe, G2 are going a different direction. Gilkey caught scrimming with Oxygen Esports against this Complexity roster. Not sure exactly what this means. Nothing's official just yet, but things are getting really exciting. And finally, well, I guess somewhat finally, we have YNOT, Rain, and McWin still scrimming together with Carbmea. This is the same roster we saw scrimming weeks ago. I believe they even played in a recent online tournament. I could be wrong about that. But either way, McWin possibly finding his new home. And I always talk about it. Your time is your currency. If you're scrimming together multiple times over the course of multiple weeks, you know, If time is your currency, you're not wasting it. You know, I don't see people just going out in the street, just chucking $20 bills out in the street and just leaving it. You don't waste your time. So scrimming once or twice, okay, but you caught scrimming multiple times, where there's smoke, there's fire. And Maeve McWin might have found a new home alongside YNOT, Rain, and Carmea. And might as well talk about this, maybe a potential new Proton Gaming Common and Haynes reuniting again, formerly of that Auction Esports roster that we talked about before. Cortex, at one point he was on Blackhand, and Posey as well was also part of that Proton game. I think I saw them scrimming with Haynes at one point. I also saw them scrimming with, I believe, J-Grav at one point as well. So it looks like they're trying to figure out something with that Proton Gaming roster. Will they choose to go with that org or new one going forward? I'm not exactly sure. But we saw how dangerous they could be back at Orlando, and I'd be excited to see them playing again. Finally, no scrims, but this was interesting. This was there's no context here, and I've looked, I've looked really hard. We saw Status Quo release their entire roster report, which by the way was a good roster. Was it a great one? Maybe not, but it was a damn good roster, and could potentially make it out open. We saw him release their roster or at least have them as restricted free agents that allowed them to test the waters. And we seen Flame Sword saying making power moves for year 2. And you're seeing a picture of Stellar. Now, are we talking about Flame Sword doing something with Cloud9? Are we talking about Stellar joining Status Quo? Are we just talking about, hey, you know, they're both obviously very much into fitness, and you see them eating what looks like a healthy meal here. So maybe they're just talking about, you know, just working out. I honestly don't know. But this is just so cryptic, just a random picture of Stellar by Flame Sword just saying making power moves for year 2. If you guys have any idea what this means, leave it down in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, and all that other good stuff before Twitter dies. Apparently, it's going away. Thank you guys so much for stopping by with your HCS Weekly Report. We'll be back soon because there's a whole lot we need to cover. Peace out.